presence of our veterans. And one thing that we've done over the last several years, since I've been here, is we've always kind of recognized the different generations of veterans that we have. And we've lost some of the gentlemen that were here the first year I came, but I think it still bears recognizing who those gentlemen were and what they did. And so we've kind of always started with World War II. And World War II came, of course, just several decades after World War I. And the Second World War was the most widespread and deadliest war in the history of the United States. There were more than 30 countries that were involved. There were more than 50 million military and civilian deaths. Some estimated as high as 85 million people total were killed in that war. And of course, it was all sparked by Adolf Hitler's invasion of Poland in 1939. The war lasted 6 years until the final Allied defeat of both Nazi Germany and Japan in 1945. But some of the gentlemen that we've recognized from that era was W.R. Forden, who was at the Battle of the Bulge, which of course was one of the big turning points of World War II. We were pretty firmly in control, we believed, and all of a sudden there was a huge counterattack by the Germans. And it really put us in danger of stretching that war out a lot longer. But that was on January 25th of 1945. And it was a surprise attack, as I mentioned, and we were caught off guard. However, we regrouped. A lot of courageous men were in there. The battle involved about 610,000 American men. There were 89,000 casualties and 19,000 killed. It was the largest and bloodiest battle fought by the United States in World War II. Mr. Ford's company had gotten separated during the battle, and his company was captured. Mr. Ford, however, was eventually able to make it back to our forces and did escape. And it was the battle that eventually broke the German army's grip to start the end of World War II. Another gentleman that we mentioned from World War II was Mr. Raymond Britton. He was a survivor, a Purple Heart recipient of Pearl Harbor. Of course, that kind of what drug us into the war. He was on the USS Tennessee, a battleship that was docked right next to the Arizona. The day that President Roosevelt says was a day that would live in infamy. December the 7th, 1941. We had 2,402 Americans killed in that attack and approximately another 1,300 injured. And I think Ray told me that they were able to man the guns on the deck of their boat and shot down 3 or 4 of those Japanese planes. Mr. William White was captured by the Japanese and was held as a prisoner of war. He was one of the few survivors of the Bataan Death March, which was an 80-mile forced march with approximately 78,000 U.S. troops, 12,000 Filipinos, and we had, I think the first thing they did when we were captured on that island, they executed all of the officers. I believe 350 to 400 American officers were executed, along with the Filipino officers. 8,000 to 10,000 Filipino troops and American troops were killed or died on the march, and then held in the prison camp until we were able to get them loose. But once again, one of those experiences that kind of defines who we are. The last gentleman from World War II that we always recognized was Sam Alexander. Sam was on the hill at Iwo Jima at the raising of the U.S. flag. He also received a Purple Heart. Iwo Jima was one of the major battles and turning points in control for the Pacific. The battle lasted from February 10th through March 26th, 1945. It was the first major attack on Japanese-occupied territory. This was the only battle of World War II that saw more American casualties than the Japanese or the other countries that we were fighting in a single battle. A little little more than 22,000 Japanese were killed or wounded in that battle. The United States took 26,000 casualties with 6,800 killed. The importance of Iwo Jima, it was one of the most important strategic air bases in the Pacific. And without capturing that island, it would have lasted a lot longer than it did. If I could have our World War II veterans please stand.